Welcome to the FediHost podcast, a show about the challenges of building a new internet. I'm your FediHost host, Paige, and with me is Victor, the CTO.
Hello.
So you got pineapple here going on today.
Yeah. So when I wash my hair, I put it in a bunch so and I let it dry out like that, and then I get really nice, luscious, curly hair.
Have you been swimming or something like that, or it's just hair washing day?
It's hair washing day.
I was going to ask you if you have any tips for swimming.
For swimming?
Yeah, because I know that you are professional swimmer. Would you say?
You could say that, yes.
I went swimming earlier, the underwater rugby guys are like, yeah, you got to swim a kilometer a day. Yeah.
A day?
So you should swim a kilometer a day. And I'm like, well, I've never swum a kilometer, I don't think. I guess I should do that. But every time I go, there's other people in the lanes. And I just, I don't know what to do. It's just, I can't do it. As soon as someone else gets in the lane, I'm like, I swim like a length and then I'm like, I'm out.
So you don't like swimming with people in the same lane as you?
Yeah, I get to I don't want to hit them, and I'm thinking too much about is this annoying for them?
I wouldn't worry about people being like, oh fuck these guys, he's so slow. It's it's just part of it. It's totally normal. You don't have to feel bad. If anything, if you're slow, people would be like, oh, good on him. He's not used to swimming and he's swimming. That's good.
Thanks.
At least for me, it's you don't get angry at a specific person. You just get annoyed that there's so many people in the lane.
Have you ever gotten mad at a specific person?
Maybe if somebody swims really slowly, but I just change lanes.
Oh, okay. So I should look out for people changing lanes. If I see people changing lanes, they might be kind of letting me know that I'm in the wrong lane.
I don't think you should take it personally when people change lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had someone who I was like, okay, this guy's an asshole, or he's swimming in the middle, or he keeps bumping into everybody. I've never really had that. Maybe I'm describing you.
This lady came up to me and he's like, dans le corridor, tu es à le doigt, à le doigt, je suis à le doigt. She was kind of telling me the role, right?
It's kind of like driving a car.
I was like, what? Ouais, je sais. And she's like, parce que s'il y a beaucoup de gens dans les corridors à la même temps, da 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 da. Obviously what she's telling me is I wasn't far enough over or something, but I thought I was. But it's just well, I don't know where I am in the lane. I thought I was doing a pretty good job of hugging the side.
Well, the Pôle and Tremblant, they, there's so few people doing laps that when you go, and you have to pay, which is kind of annoying. But when you go, you get a lane all to yourself.
How much does it cost?
$3.
Oh, wow. Okay. $3 is pretty good.
I mean, it's not good when everywhere you go in Montreal, it's free.
Yeah, but the metro here costs more than $3, I would pay $3 if I was guaranteed a lane.
Yeah? Okay.
Maybe it's time that they add a new pool to my neighborhood. It's getting too busy. And maybe it's time, Victor, for us to add a new service, a request we often get. So, Victor, this is something that people often will say. They'll be like, oh, I like some piece of software. Could you add it to FediHost? And it's been interesting going from when we started out being like, oh, we'll add a new service every month, we'll add this and we'll add that, to being like, whoa, adding a new service is there's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
Shall we walk through today the things that need to be factored in when we go to add new service to FediHost? So, Victor, let's add X. What do you do?
So the first thing is just getting it running for us, wrapping our head around it, figuring out what kind of database it uses, how much resources does it use, how easy is it to configure, what do you need to get it up and running. So if you think about Mastodon, GoToSocial, I mean, not Peer2, but they all, when you spin up your instance, you need to make a user. You have to create a user for users. So now you start thinking about, okay, so we have to automate the user creation when somebody signs up. We need to make some kind of script that makes them their first user, things like that. So you kind of get a feel of how the application run, what it would mean to offer like spinning up an instance for people. So that's kind of the first thing you do.
Okay.
Then once we have an instance running, then you start looking at the day-to-day, like how much resource is it consuming on average? Is this stable? Like, is there any bugs? Like, you kind of have to use it. And that's a really big part of figuring out how, if we want to, or if we can. It's not if we want, because I think most things we do want to be able to offer it, but it's like,
what is the risks of hosting this with regards to its stability and stuff?
Yeah. So, like, are there any bugs? Are there any features that aren't currently working, or like how stable is it? Things like that. Yeah. So just an example of something we're already hosting. So PeerTube, when they came out with the 7.1 update, the podcasting feature broke. So that's something, it's like you kind of have to test these things out before even just updating our own service. But if we add a new service, then we need to make sure that everything's working properly, because if something's not working, then people are most likely going to be like, hey, why is this broken? And then we have to tell them, sorry, it's not working. We don't want people to come to us and say, this isn't working. Like, we want to know right away if something's not working. And then if too many things aren't working, then it's not really a good experience for the users.
So this is the issue with like when you're a managed hosting service versus like a VPS. Customers who are self-hosting with their own VPS or their Raspberry Pi at home or whatever, they're far more likely to understand that the issue is that the software that's being installed, has some bug in it. Whereas I think if you're paying for a managed hosting, you might be more the sort of person who kind of expects, well, this isn't my problem, this is your problem. I swiped my credit card, and so I want a stable Mastodon thing. And they don't understand that like it's kind of out of our control if there's a bug with a code that's been installed. We don't have as many choices. Like if a bug isn't discovered before the final release and there's like a database migration that you can't migrate back from, we have kind of limited options. You might just be stuck with a feature that's not working on your PeerTube instance. And in the end, we're going to have to field the like tech support calls and handle that, right?
And I think with the service we're offering, we want to make sure that everybody has this like the smoothest experience possible. It's not, I don't think it's desirable to be like, tell people, well, it's X's service fault, it's not our fault. Like, we want to make sure everything we provide is rock solid for the user.
So some of the projects I think are really solid. Like, I think Mastodon has a good reputation.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other projects, they're smaller. They don't have as big a team. They're newer. And so they fall into this zone where you realize that you as a host are signing up for a little bit more risk, I guess, of having those sorts of problems.
Yeah, it's not that we couldn't offer those services. It's more like dealing with everything around hosting it. So maybe if a software is a little bit less stable, then sometimes it might crash, and then you have to think like, okay, so how do we handle those crashes? Like, whereas if you had your own VPS, then you'd be more like you kind of would know what you're signing up for, or maybe you don't. But then it's like you're kind of like saying, I'm taking on this responsibility of this thing that might not be 100% stable, and it's my responsibility to fix it. But for us, when people pay us, then they expect it to work, and it's our responsibility to make it work for them.
I mean, it's kind of like, like a lot of the time bugs are caused by an underlying package that's being used in their software, having an upgrade that broke something, right? Be like, oh, they've got a library that whatever caches things and it changes around and it breaks their software. But we don't really care, be like, well, why didn't you lock it down at the version that worked and then test it before you shipped that?
Well, again, it's like a lot of Fediverse projects have really small teams, so we can't really blame them for like 100% fully testing everything all the time. And it's kind of why we do run those tests to make sure that we're kind of QAing software for the services we provide, because we have people that depend on us to have this software run smoothly. So whenever things go wrong, then we're kind of the first to say, hey, this thing's not working. Can you check it out?
So that's another thing that we're kind of looking for, right? So we have our kind of beta users, we have our own kind of test instances and things that we're trying out. And we will create issues on their repositories. And we're looking to see, like, do they deal with major things fast? Is it kind of a, we'll push out that fix tonight, or does it go into the pile of things and get fixed in the next release in a month? Yeah. Are people going to be unable to play videos, on Chrome for the next month? Because there are certain bugs like that where you're like, they have to provide us an out, either the ability to downgrade to the version that was working again easily, or have a quick hot fix out in the next day or two. And if they don't do that, then it makes us hesitant about offering that service.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that we're currently, just seeing how they work and keeping an eye on?
We have two things in beta that most people probably know about. One is PixelFed, and the other was GoToSocial. GoToSocial, we're like pretty final stage of being able to offer it. We've been using it. Well, I've been using it for a long time. Like on my personal instance, we have people who were in a beta program, and it's been really helpful in finding out little quirks of GoToSocial. Like just the other day, I started noticing like our server load went really high at like around 6, and I was like, what's going on there? And it turns out like GoToSocial does its like internal media post like caching, deletion, and garbage collection at midnight UTC, so it's like 6 p.m. for us. And if you're not telling it to, it's going to use all the resources available to do that garbage collection. So basically it's just like, oh, you got 6 core, I'm going to use all those 6 cores. So you keep finding out things like that where there's kind of like 2 categories of things we need to look out for. It's things in our infrastructure, like how does the program behave in our infrastructure, and like more program specific things of like, are there bugs in this thing that makes an advertised feature not usable, or more of a user experience point of view.
A decent number of like issues that we create are related to features that, well, not even features, just like very minor changes in the code that make it easier to host, right?
Yeah, we've done some of those, yeah.
Making sure that a variable is available to change, just for kind of interoperability with our systems that would benefit anyone hosting it, but that make our lives a lot easier. Because that's, I guess, another consideration. Sometimes we look at a piece of software, and at least at present, to host it, we would have to maintain our own fork of a project with a couple of minor changes. And that's just one more thing that makes it a bit annoying. If there's an update, you have to pull the changes in, and then if they ever kind of move around the files that your changes are in, you're going to have to reconcile where those are again. And if it was it was kind of an update that's like a security update, all this needs to go on immediately. There you are, kind of like, oh, okay, right. I have to really carefully go through this code and see what went where, you know?
Yeah, we really want to keep the kind of like custom patches to code to a minimum. Mastodon, we have some of them, which, I mean, ideally we don't, but it's mostly for the rate limiting, because we noticed, I mean, maybe it's bad that we're doing it. I don't know, but we've had issues, I think, when people try to migrate their account, of a servers getting rate limited. So we kind of bumped the rate limits on Mastodon, which, like, they're hard coded inside Mastodon, so there's no other way to change it besides making a patch. So you got things like that.
Yeah. Also the sort of stuff where you're like, well, you want to be able to talk with a developer about it, because I think once it starts being hosted on FediHost, you do start to, I guess, build a relationship with the people that build the software you're using, right?
I do hope so. I do hope that we do. I hope they don't find me annoying when I write issues. I mean, I think they appreciate what we do. Like, I try to be very professional in my bug reports or pull requests.
Yeah. So this is also like we have on our website the term we wrote the details of our beta program out for people to check out. If you're interested in trying out some of the new software that's coming down the pipeline, you can jump on that, have a look at what it says, so you can understand what we're pushing for. Basically, you get earlier access to features that we're building into the FediHost system. You also get access to beta software, like, you know, the release candidates and that sort of thing. And you have reduced prices or even free services that you can add. You can leave the beta program, but you would have to write an email and get migrated off of it and onto kind of the paid service. But if you're a sort of person who wants to test stuff out, or you are like, well, you know, if I get rolled, the database gets rolled back 6 hours, it's fine. I'm not going to be too concerned about losing that. Then it's a pretty good option for people. And it helps to catch bugs and make our stuff better, make for services that we use better, because we'll be writing up issues if we run into them.
I'm going to add that it's as supplies last. So it's, if 100 people want to have a beta, we probably don't need 100 beta testers. So we accept people as we need them.
Yeah, we want to keep a range of people who are kind of using certain services. So some PeerTube people, GoToSocial, Mastodon, PixelFed, and other stuff that we add. But yeah, we don't, for example, need thousands of Mastodon beta testers, you know. So yeah, that's true too. Should add a within reason to the terms and conditions of the beta program.
Within our, like, we decide.
If someone goes and signs up, it's a pretty good way to get going on some of the things that we haven't launched yet, you know? So sometimes we will get asked by people, when are you going to add PixelFed? And it's like, you can use PixelFed if you want. Like, sign up for the beta program, you can get on it. And then if after it launches, you want to, you can switch over to the paid version, or you can keep staying on these kind of early release candidate versions. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Anything else to say on adding new services?
Well, no, I think hopefully it's clear enough for people. Like, yeah, we want to add as many services as we can, but keep it kind of manageable for us and to manage expectations of people. Because we do kind of want to offer the best experience possible. And I think it's important to add that we also kind of, for most things that we host, we kind of try to add a little bit of value added. Like, it's not just getting a Mastodon instance. You might be like, you get the ability to go play in the back end a little bit easier. PeerTube, we have like the dedicated encoders, so you don't have to worry about that, or having your server grind to a halt whenever you're uploading a video. Like, I think that's the kind of stuff that we kind of we try to go an extra step for everything that we provide.
Yeah, we want to look for services that provide an opportunity for us to do more, with it. So I guess, like, for example, we've got Ghost set up as our blog, and that might be a thing we add at some point. I think the next public release of it is supposed to have ActivityPub built in. And Ooh. So, yeah, it'd be good to add it, but we'd probably be like, well, what's our value add on this? Is there some way to link this to, say, Mastodon? I mean, this is like a kind of a silly example, but if you were an organization that had both a Mastodon instance and added Ghost, maybe the users on that Mastodon instance automatically follow the accounts on the Ghost blog or something like that. Like, we're trying to look for something that kind of gives it extra. So I was thinking about the funny thing with Ghost is when I think about it, I can't really think of what we could do to add to it, To
me, at least, I don't think it's like we have to provide an extra thing. It's just that when we can, we usually try to do it.
Yeah. Well, if anything with Ghost, it would be kind of nice if it was just really low cost for people to add.
Yeah. I mean, the Ghost Pro thing is really expensive. So just having the ability to host it yourself, and the resource usage of Ghost isn't really that high. So like, I think being able to offer Ghost for a fraction of what Ghost Pro costs, then I think it's good value for most people.
Yeah, like, you might have I think like a lot of Ghost is built around like emailing out the newsletters, right?
So maybe that's where the costs come in.
So we might be like, oh, well, can we rate limit the emails and be like, yeah, you can get Ghost for like $1, but it doesn't send emails, and then we're like, we might look at Ghost and be like, is that a variable inside the code already? Can we add that? And we start to kind of think of it like that. But yeah, certainly whenever we've looked at adding something and we've seen an opportunity to like do something cool, like the shared transcoders or the storage pools or whatever, that certainly is like a point in a column of like, oh, we'd like to play around with that. We'd like to add that more after seeing it.
Things can be as simple as like, just on Mastodon, we set up the CDN for you, so you don't like. That's not really something that's very glamorous, but it's definitely like an extra step that not everybody takes.
Yeah,
I want to offer to people the setup that I would make myself if I was to make one. Like, I want the most solid, production ready setup for everything that we provide.
Well, hopefully that's what we're going to be providing. We're going to be providing the luxury of a private pool, a lane to yourself.
Yes.
You walk into FediHost swimming pool and you go, perfect. I've got exactly what I need here.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
No 5 people in one lane. It's just your lane.
And you can choose which lane. You're like, I feel like being a little closer to the door.
Yeah.
That's our goal, right? Anyway, hopefully you enjoy FediHost's luxurious multi-lane swimming opportunity, the swimming pool that we're building on the internet. Does this make sense, Victor?
Sure.
Thanks for listening. Comment away down below if you have any questions or have any suggestions for services that you think would be well suited to FediHost. And we will see you next time.
Bye.